Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Octopus Kraken OC1001. This watch is available from Octopus Kraken Ali store on AliExpress for €299. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with a piece. So the Octopus Kraken OC1001 comes in this black pelican style case. I'll show you the interior. As you can see, both halves of the watch box are lined with foam panels, which does a good job of protecting the watch in shipping from any damage. I like this style of pelican case. They're very durable and practical and very aesthetically pleasing. With regards to the other items, this is the owner's instruction manual. As you can see, it's thick, it's clear and concise, good clear diagrams, and it details every aspect of the operation of the OC1001, including the movement used, which is the Seiko NH35A automatic. One also gets this Octopus Kraken branded microfiber polishing cloth. I always think it's a nice touch to get a branded microfiber polishing cloth irrespective of the price point of a piece. This is the plastic guarantee card, and as you can see, the reverse is filled in with Octopus Kraken, and also we have the date of purchase, and I'm pleased to report that the watch is covered by a 12-month international guarantee, which is very reassuring. Now, one also gets two screwdrivers. Now, these are Torx screwdrivers. It's nice of Octopus Kraken to include these, but however, it would have been better if they had used Allen key screwdrivers rather than Torx head screwdrivers, and I'll explain why that is. The OC1001 uses screw bars rather than the conventional spring bars, and I like the use of screw bars because they are a higher quality alternative to spring bars, but they have hex heads, so Allen keys would be more appropriate. Although the Torx screwdrivers will do the job in unscrewing them and screwing them back down, it really would be better if they had included two Allen key screwdrivers rather than using Torx screwdrivers. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Octopus Kraken OC1001. The watch is clearly on a homage to the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, so very similar proportions. 44mm case diameter. We have a lug-to-lug measurement of 49.4mm, a thickness of 15.8mm, and a lug width of 23mm. The Kojora style strap tapers from 23mm at the lugs down to the buckle and tang, and as you can see, the buckle and tang is signed with Octopus Kraken's brand logo to a high standard. Nice heavy gauge of metal, brushed satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks. Very heavy gauge of 316L grade stainless steel, so it's going to be a durable buckle and tang, and it does fit the aesthetic of the watch being an homage to the Blancpain 50 Fathoms. The Kojora strap is very high quality, flawless stitching throughout, nice fine weave to the Kojora fabric, and on the underside it's fully lined with leather, so I'll show you the underside of the strap. As you can see, very well executed, finished to a very high standard, absolutely flawless stitching, plenty of holes in the Kojora strap to allow for fine-tuning the adjustment, and I like that they've lined the underside with leather, and that means it's very comfortable to wear for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. We've got two keepers, one's fixed and one slides, as one would expect, so it's a very high grade of Kojora strap. Now the thing is, it is very thick, and therefore it's very stiff, so it's going to take some breaking in to become comfortable, to become soft and supple, but if wearing this as a daily wear piece for 8 to 12 hours per day, I'm confident that the Kojora strap lined with leather on the underside would become very soft and supple, so a very high grade and durable strap. Now, I want to give criticism to Octopus Kraken because they've used a rather unusual 23mm lug width. It would have been better had they used 22, because really 20 and 22 are the industry standards for dive pieces. The problem with using a 23mm lug width is it does limit one's options with regards to fitting this onto alternative straps. Now, the other thing to note is it uses screw bars, as I've discussed, rather than conventional spring bars. Now, I like the use of screw bars because they are very secure. They're a high quality method of securing the strap to the head of the piece. And Octopus Kraken deserve credit because it is significantly more expensive to produce screw bars and use them in the case, drill out the lugs to a high tolerance, rather than just drilling the holes in the lugs and using spring bars. But the problem with using the screw bars and the 23mm lug width is, as I've discussed, it does make changing the strap for alternative options limited. One could of course wear this on a NATO strap or a Zulu strap, but if you're not happy with the Cordura strap, it does mean that you're going to find it more difficult to find 23mm lug width straps, and I think 22 would have been better, and it still would have balanced the 44mm head of the piece. So with regards to the rest of the specification, we have a fully loomed domed sapphire bezel insert, which is very aesthetically pleasing. The sapphire bezel insert is a credible alternative to ceramic. It is as scratch resistant as ceramic, but it is very aesthetically pleasing, and it does do a good job of being an homage to the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, which also uses a domed sapphire crystal bezel insert, which is fully loomed. They've done an outstanding job on the sapphire crystal bezel insert. Absolutely love the dome profile of it and the diamond shape lume pip at 12 o'clock. So it really is a very good homage to the 50 Fathoms bezel. Solid 316L grade stainless steel bezel, nice teeth profile to the gear cut profile of the bezel, flawless mirror polishing to the exterior and matte finishing to the interior of the teeth, so it's a very well executed bezel. I really like the navy blue sunburst style. It adds interest to it, and I love the way it changes colour in the lights from a dark navy blue to a royal blue or electric blue in direct light. The baton style hands are very well finished, mirror polished to a high standard. One detail I like is the sweeping second hand, which has a red contrasting arrowhead tip, and also the Octopus Kraken brand emblem counterweight on the other end of the second hand, which again adds interest to it. So it's a very well executed dial, and the date complication is correctly cited at 3 o'clock. The white date wheel with black Arabic numerals is clearly legible. And one other feature I really like is the domed sapphire crystal. As you can see, it's got a very tall domed sapphire crystal. The double domed sapphire crystal has clear AR coating, and the clear AR coating on the underside does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver applied indices and the silver baton style hands. So the double domed sapphire crystal complements the domed sapphire bezel insert. It's just absolutely gorgeous to look at, and it does look very similar to the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, which this is an homage to. The screw down stainless steel caseback provides an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters of water resistance, beautifully embossed with the Octopus Kraken brand emblem, as you can see. Just incredible attention to detail, bearing in mind that this is a low tier price point piece at only €299. This is the kind of detail and finishing one would expect to see on a mid-tier piece costing in excess of €2,000. So to get this at only €299 really is a credit to Octopus Kraken. It's one of the best finished screw down stainless steel casebacks I've seen. The engraving is very high grade, and the quality of the embossing to the Octopus Kraken brand logo in the centre is just absolutely gorgeous. Flawless mirror polishing to the embossing and a matte bead blasted effect background to it, which adds interest. So the screw down stainless steel caseback provides an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters, as does the screw down stainless steel crown. Knurled finish to the crown, and it's also embossed and signed with the Octopus Kraken brand emblem. So let's test the crown action. Absolutely silky smooth. Good firm resistance to it, and I actually like that. The firm resistance isn't due to friction between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. It's down to the O-rings. There are two rubber O-rings. There's a rubber O-ring gasket inside the crown and a second rubber O-ring inside the crown tube. And those two hermetic seals provide an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters. The Seiko NH35A has a characteristic pop which pushes the winding stem out of the movement. So in the first position, it's the manual wind position. One can manually wind the Seiko NH35A automatic to top it up to its maximum 40-hour power reserve. Absolute pleasure to manually wind it. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up. So pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set date complication position, and if you look closely at the 3 o'clock position, you can see the quick set complication works as one would expect. One characteristic I really like about the NH35A is the quick set complication has a nice positive click. Each day of the month clicks over with a good solid click, so I like the indexing of it. Pulling it out to the second click position on the crown is the time setting position. Good firm resistance to the gearing in the NH35A. It feels like a good solid movement, and it is indeed a reliable, well-proven workhorse movement and the correct choice for this piece. As you can see, it has hacking. I've now hacked the second hand, and one can see the second hand has stopped dead, so it's possible to set the time precisely to the second. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. So let's test screwing it back down. Immediate thread pickup. This is outstanding crown execution. I previously reviewed the Octopus Kraken Seamaster Homage, and I was very impressed with the crown action on that as well. Silky smooth. It's something they do very well. Good firm resistance to the crown, which means the O-rings are a good tight fit, both in the stainless steel crown tube and also the gasket inside the stainless steel crown. They are providing very good hermetic seal. So, although this is rated to 200 meters, I'm absolutely confident that would provide 300 meters of water resistance due to the quality of the fit of the rubber O-rings inside the crown tube and also the rubber gasket inside the stainless steel crown. Right, so let's test the bezel action. 120 click unidirectional bezel, as one would expect. Nice, loud, audible clicks. I absolutely love the sound of it. It feels even all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation. Good firm resistance to it. It feels tight. It's very similar in bezel action to a Seiko SKX007, or alternatively a Steinhardt Ocean 139, which you may be familiar with. I like that firm resistance. No lateral side-side play whatsoever. No back play whatsoever. This is a very tight, well-executed bezel action. Good crisp 120 clicks. Love the sound of it. And let's just check the alignment. Really firm bezel action. It's one of the best bezel actions I've experienced on my channel. And I've reviewed over 200 watches. And I can tell you that this is incredibly satisfying. Perfect alignment between the diamond Lume pip on the Lume sapphire bezel insert and the diamond shape index at 12 o'clock on the dial. So no lateral side-to-side play, no back play, and perfect alignment. This is 10 out of 10 perfect bezel execution, and Octopus Kraken deserve full credit for a very tight, solid bezel action. So this really is impressing me because we've got good solid crown execution, good solid bezel action. So now let's test the Lume. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is incredible C3 Superluminova performance. Now, it's just very bright on the applied indices and also the baton hands, very impressive, but they also deserve full credit for not cutting any corners with regards to the fully lumed sapphire bezel insert. The first quarter of minute ticks are fully indexed. I like the large diamond shape Lume pip at 12 o'clock as per the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, which this is an homage to. Also, the Arabic numerals 15, 30 and 45 are fully loomed. It's just incredible quality, and I really like the fully loomed sapphire bezel insert. Clearly legible, and it's glowing brightly, and it will continue to glow for a good length of time. This is top grade C3 Superluminova, and looking at the baton hands and the applied indices, it's clear that they have used 5 or 6 layers of C3 Superluminova. This is the kind of performance one gets with 5 or 6 layers. On low tier brands, often they cut corners with regards to production costs by only applying 2 or 3 layers of Luminova or C3 Superluminova, and the problem with that is the lume on the applied indices and the baton hands immediately begins to fade, and fade fast to nothing. But with quality brands such as Octopus Kraken, they are applying 5 to 6 layers of C3 Superluminova on the applied indices and the baton hands, and as you can see, one therefore gets a brighter emission, and also one gets a longer length of glowing time. So it really is better performance. Now, even on the Lume sapphire bezel insert, it's continuing to glow brightly for a good length of time. I absolutely love the tone of green C3. It's one of my personal favourites, and I prefer it to BGW9 Superluminova, which glows blue. And I think they've made the correct choice by choosing C3 rather than BGW9, because the green tone of the lume matches the vintage aesthetic of the piece, and it does a good job of being an homage to the Blancpain 50 Fathoms. So, as you can see, 10 out of 10 top grade Superluminova performance. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot, and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, as you can see, I can just fit it on my 8-inch wrist with 2 holes spare in the strap. However, it is a fraction too short to engage in both of the keepers. So I'm going to draw minor criticism to Octopus Kraken on this, because It's a large piece, it's 44mm, and therefore this is clearly meant for collectors with a larger wrist of 7 to 8 inches rather than collectors with a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches. Yes, of course this will fit a 6 to 7 inch wrist because you can see there are 3 holes before the buckle and tang, and I have 2 holes after. So with a 7 to 8 inch wrist, you are going to need to fit this on a larger strap, and of course this is going to be difficult because it's an odd 23mm lug width and it doesn't use conventional spring bars, it uses screw bars as I've detailed. So if you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist, this will fit you no problem at all. The maximum it will fit is up to a 7.5 inch wrist. As you can see, I have an 8 inch wrist and I could just engage the end of the strap in the first keeper but not the second. So 7.5 inches is the maximum, so that's something to bear in mind. But having said that, if you're a collector with a larger wrist of 7 to 8 inches, you are going to find the wrist presence and also the fit of this 44mm head of the piece to fit you to perfection. Nice curved profile to the underside of the case. One thing to note is it is a tall piece at 15.8mm due to the high double dome sapphire crystal, as you can see. So it's a tall piece, but it does feel very well balanced on wrist due to the wide 23mm lug width, as you can see. The 23mm Cordura strap does feel very well balanced with the large 44mm head of the piece, so it doesn't feel top heavy, it feels very well balanced. An interesting thing to note is it's only 113 grams, bearing in mind it is a 44mm piece. Usually with large pieces like this, 44mm, I would expect the heft to be circa 150 grams, even on a strap, due to the large size of the case. So it's 113 grams, it's actually a light automatic powered piece. It's the kind of heft one would expect to see with a manual wound or alternatively a quartz powered piece that is 40mm. To get a 44mm piece that is only 113 grams is very impressive. So at 15.8mm, it's not easily going to slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts, so that's something to bear in mind. I regard circa 13mm to be the sweet spot for a dive watch, and at 15.8 it is clearly well above the 13mm sweet spot. So really the things to note is the odd 23mm lug width, it is a wide strap, and really this is best suited to collectors with a larger wrist of 7 to 8 inches rather than 6 to 7 inches. I think if you've got a 6 to 7 inch wrist, you'll find that it wears with too much wrist presence because it's 44mm by 15.8 thick. The other thing to note is it's got a relatively long lug-to-lug measurement of 49.4. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider 48mm to be perfection. That is the sweet spot, regardless of whether you are a collector with a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist, respectively. At 49.4, it is a long case, and although the lugs wrap around the wrist, they are curved. As you can see, I have a large 8 inch wrist, and there is still a gap underneath the end of the long lugs at 49.4. I think it could be further improved if they had shortened up the lug-to-lug measurements of 48, and if they had made the lug width 22mm rather than the odd 23, that would have made it a better proportion piece. But having said that, it does an excellent job of being an homage to the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, and at 44mm it does have the correct proportions for a 50 Fathoms homage piece. Absolutely gorgeous to look at on wrist. I love the double dome sapphire crystal, the blue sunburst dial, and also the fully loomed sapphire bezel insert with its domed profile. It's just an absolutely gorgeous piece to look at, and it does capture the look of the Blancpain 50 Fathoms. Right, so let's discuss the movement used. You'll all be familiar with this Seiko NH35A automatic. So the NH35A automatic is made in 2 plants by Seiko in Malaysia and Japan respectively. This piece uses the Japan version of the NH35A, and it has 24 joules. It runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. It has hand winding and hacking, which use for complications, and it has a 40-hour power reserve, which is perfectly acceptable. The stated accuracy of the NH35A is -20 to +40 seconds per day, so a rather wide accuracy range. However, I'm pleased to report that Octopus Kraken are regulating the NH35A movements very well. This one is running consistently at +6 seconds per day, which is excellent for a Seiko NH35A. So I like the choice of the NH35A because it's a reliable, well-proven workhorse movement. The accuracy is good, they can be very well regulated, and running at +6 is perfectly acceptable for a low-tier piece costing €299. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. So in order to evaluate this watch, I need to look at three criteria. When I'm reviewing watches, I look for the watches to meet those three vital criteria. They should have excellent quality lume, excellent bezel action and excellent crown action. And this watch does meet those three criteria. The C3 Super Luminova is top grade. The bezel action is perfect. It is 10 out of 10, perfect bezel execution. The screw down crown execution is also 10 out of 10, excellent. So it has the excellent lume, the excellent bezel action, excellent crown. Those three criteria have been met, and therefore that means it's excellent quality. Is it excellent value? Well, at €299, it really is at the top level with regards to price point for an NH35A powered piece. At €300, one would expect it to have a PT5000, but however, I think they've made the correct choice by using the NH35A because it is a reliable, well-proven workhorse movement. The reason why I justify it using the NH35A versus the PT5000, which is more expensive, is because the specification is absolutely loaded. To get a fully lumed sapphire bezel insert at €299 price point really is exceptional, and Octopus Kraken deserve full credit for that because it is a high grade of quality sapphire bezel insert, and it is lumed with top grade C3 Super Luminova as I demonstrated in the lume test. Dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating, 200 meters of water resistance, excellent lume, excellent bezel action, excellent crown. Now the other thing is the quality of the case polishing is high grade. It's flawless mirror polishing on the top side, flanks and underside of the case, and also the detailing on the screw down stainless steel case back is 10 out of 10. So this is the kind of finishing to the head of the piece that I would expect to see on a mid-tier piece costing in excess of €2,000. I certainly wouldn't expect to see this high grade of finishing on a low-tier piece costing €299. So the build quality, the quality control, the materials used, the specification are all outstanding, and that justifies the price point. So yes, it is excellent quality, and yes, it is excellent value at €299. I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Octopus Kraken OC1001. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.